Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for this guide for Dr. Ratio's updated kit. I'll be giving you his best relic, light cones, team comp, rotations and his pros and cons. Do note that this is all speculation and subjected to changes. For any changes made to him I'll update you guys in the comment section. I'll also upload a new video when he's officially out for his relic DPS calculations. Here are his required materials and skill priority. For an overview of his kit, he's a hunt unit that focuses on single target damage and his main damage source comes from his follow-up attacks. He got buffed hugely. Where you want a debuffer with him, especially Silver Wolf, to get the extra damage from his follow-up attack traces. Though not a must if your debuffer is able to apply 2 debuffs at a 100% uptime to get Dr. Ratio to do his follow-up attack every turn. For his Eidolons, he is totally E0 sufficient. His E1 increases the maximum stackable count for his trace. When a battle begins, immediately obtains X stacks. Has to activate his traces first for it to apply, which increases his damage by 7%. For his E2, when his follow-up attack hits a target, deals additional imaginary damage equal to X% of Dr. Ratio's attack for every debuff currently on the enemy target. This effect can be triggered for a maximum of X times during each follow-up attack. It gives a 30 to 40% plus DPS boost. For his E4, when triggering his talent, regenerates extra energy for Dr. Ratio. E6 increases his ulti effect count for X additional time and increases his triggered talent follow-up damage. For his best price to performance ratio, his E1 is pretty much useless. Players should go for his signature LC and E2 at max. How to build Dr. Ratio. For the body, want crit damage. For the boots, you want speed over attack percent. If you have Bronya, you want attack percent boots. With speed boots, Dr. Ratio will take more turns, which allows him to trigger his follow-up attacks more often. Substat priority. Speed till 134, 55% total crit rate. Effect hit rate till a total of 28.2% into crit damage, and lastly attack percent. Slightly higher crit rate is fine unless you are on his E1. Even with Silverwolf, you want the effect hit rate due to his bonus damage on his follow-up attack from his traces, as Dr. Ratio is able to apply a debuff every turn unless you have E2 Silverwolf. As you need a total of 8 debuffs on the enemy for his max damage output, though not a must. Onto his relic set. It's very straightforward. His best in slot will be 2-piece Grand Duke with attack or imaginary set. If his attack count for his follow-up attack is 2 or more, then it's better to run with 4-piece Grand Duke. 4-piece Quantum is also really good since you will be putting a debuffer in your team, especially with Silverwolf. 4-piece imaginary set is also decent. And now for the Planar Ornament. For the rope, you want attack percent only, since you're guaranteed with a follow-up attack every turn. Going with energy regen rope would result in huge damage loss. And for the orb, imaginary damage boost only, as there's a huge damage loss from attack percent. His best and only Planar Ornament set is Inert Salsado, as his follow-up attack and ulti gives the highest DPS output. His second best in slot is Glameth, but requires 135 speed. At last place, it's Space Sealing Station. Would highly recommend players to farm for Salsado unless they have triple S tier substat on the other 2 set pieces. Now for his light cones. I'll start from the worst to best. At last place we have only Silence Remains. You want this LC at S5 and only if you have no other options, as the crit rate buff needs 2 or fewer enemies on the field. At third place we have both Cruising in the Stellar C at S5 and Sleep Like the Dead. For Sleep Like the Dead, it's a consistent light cone with 30% crit damage, but it's still pretty good. For Stellar C, it's a very solid option that gives you high crit rate and attack buff. You don't have to worry about the attack buff, as Dr. Ratio damage is high enough to kill off enemies really quickly. Overall, Dr. Ratio's crit rate is already high enough, so I would say Sleep Like the Dead is better, unless for some reason you keep rolling into 20% crit damage stats on some of your relics, then Stellar C would be a better option. At second place it's Swordplay. Even if his attack count is 1, his skill also does damage. So it still works, but you want to use this light cone only at S3. I do think it's good, especially for harder content in the game like MOC 12. At first place is Dr. Ratio's signature LC. I speculate that it will increase the wearer's crit damage by X%. For every debuff on the enemy target, the wearer's crit damage dealt against them increases by X%, up to a maximum of X stacks. When the wearer attacks the target with their ultimate, the wearer receives X effect, increasing damage dealt by X%, and their follow-up attacks ignore X% of the target's defense. This effect lasts for X turns. Overall his light cone has the highest DPS, though you should pull for Silverwolf instead if you do not have her, as she will give higher DPS for Doctor ratio compared to his light cone. Here are the numbers on the damage difference, but do note that this isn't final but a rough calculation. Overall his light cone is nice to have to boost his damage hugely, but not a must unless you on a mono team with Silverwolf, then by all means it's worth it. And now for his team comp and rotations. His best mono team comp will be Silverwolf, Welt and Fushuen or Luocha, where you can replace Welt with a future imaginary DPS unit, and if you don't have Fushuen or Luocha, a future imaginary preservation unit may outscale both of them, which will outscale all other DPS team comp. His best standard DPS team comp will be Bronya with Silverwolf and a 5-star sustain. I speculate that with a future 5-star Quantum Harmony unit, she will replace Bronya. With this team comp in the future with the 5-star Quantum Harmony unit, it will be his next best mono team comp. For his F2P team comp, you want Tingyun with Pella or Silverwolf. Tingyun is great for the energy region to help Doctor Ratio get his ulti up more frequently. Now for a tier list on the units which are best for Doctor Ratio. Silverwolf definitely triple S tier. For double S tier, Bronya, Fushuen, Luocha, and Ruan Mei for dual DPS team comp, Huohuo and Tingyun. For S tier it would just be Welt, Pella. For a tier, it would be Topaz, as it would be better if you're using a AoE, sub DPS unit. For Doctor Ratio pros and cons. Pros, he's easy to build. Highest DPS in the game, especially with him doing follow-up attacks every turn. Harder for him to get outscaled compared to other DPS units, as he scales hugely better with an expensive team comp. He's a good investment if you have Silverwolf, especially with more imaginary and quantum units coming out in the future. Cons. Without Silverwolf his damage falls off, as you won't be able to get his max DPS output. He may still get outscaled in future, especially for DPS units, where a future imaginary DPS unit may not need debuffs to perform the same as him. So should you pull for Doctor Ratio? If you have Imbibed or Lune? No. If you have Silverwolf but no Fushuen and Seal? Yes, definitely. If you don't have Silverwolf, it's still alright to pull for him, but he will have way lesser value. If you like his design? Yes. Overall his damage is pretty insane, especially with Silverwolf and future units, but if you don't have Silverwolf it's actually fine if you don't care about hitting 8 debuffs on an enemy for his max DPS output of 15 to 20% plus. Since he's able to clear any content as long as he's fighting against imaginary weak bosses, but you still want a debuff unit which can at least apply 2 debuffs. But I do believe that players should pull him for a imaginary mono team comp, as if you're looking for elemental coverage, a future imaginary DPS unit will outscale him without Silverwolf. And that's it for this guide.